What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Phoenix here, back with a brand new Marvel Spider-Man 2 video. And in today's video, I want to go over the list of people in Marvel Spider-Man 2 Kraven is going to hunt. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button down below, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. So this article from Game Rant says Kraven the Hunter is the primary villain in Marvel Spider-Man 2, targeting superpowered heroes and villains in New York City. The presence of Kraven sets up the possibility for the following classic storylines from his comics, allowing the character to grow as a potential threat. The inclusion of various targets, including Peter Parker and Miles Morales, suggests that the heroes could need to form alliances with villains to stop a bigger threat. Now, with this, I obviously do think that there are going to be at certain times where Peter and Miles are going to have to go and track down every villain, seeing as that they are being hunted by Kraven. Because, like Kraven said, and based on the tablet, and like what John Paquette said, Kraven's hunting down every single supervillain and superhero in New York. So it would make sense for Peter and Miles to find them and say they're surrounded and being hunted by Kraven, rather than say they're being surrounded by his hunters and everything like that. They're going to wonder who and what is going on, and say they're going to say Kraven is hunting down every single one of you guys in New York City, so we're going to have to help you out. And through that, there could be a chance that they could team up with Peter and Miles to take out Kraven. But following that, it says Spider-Man's iconic foe, Kraven the Hunter, is set to take to the streets of New York in Marvel Spider-Man 2 on a hunt against the city's most dangerous game, its superpowered heroes and villains. Kraven's reveal cinematic for Marvel Spider-Man 2 shows the villain targeting many of these characters, with their locations being shown on a map of New York City. There are a lot of targets for Kraven to tackle after the events of the previous games, with the possibility of even more characters set within his sights that are yet to be revealed. Now, we do know this for a fact that there are more targets in Marvel Spider-Man 2 that he could go after, especially in the raft, because when you really think about it, we saw everything in his tablet. Because, like, think about it, he was the first person that we saw in the gameplay trailer. So that means that he's very interested in what also happens if he goes to New York City and lets everybody roam free. And he's interested in that as well, because John Paquette said before, Kraven has seen the events of the first two games, and he wants to come to New York for a challenge because he's all the way around the world being Kraven. And he's like, you know what? Let me see what's going on in New York myself. Let me go ahead and go up there myself. But following that, it says, while most of the details of Marvel Spider-Man 2's story are still being kept under wraps, the presence of Kraven as one of the primary villains sets up to follow one of several comic storyline appearances. Arcs like Kraven's first hunt and Hunted could serve as inspiration for the villain story in Marvel Spider-Man 2, giving Kraven a lot of room to grow into a powerful threat. With several targets already on his list, the emergence of Venom at some point in the game, Kraven is going to have his hands full hunting his prey in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Here we go. The following list of people that Kraven is going to hunt are Black Cat, Prowler, Wraith, Tombstone, Lizard, Taskmaster, Shocker, Kingpin, which I'm surprised that he's even on this list, Dr. Octopus, Vulture, Scorpion, Rhino, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales. Obviously, those two are going to be on the list. But following that, it says, although most of its targets are villains, Kraven's pursuit of Peter and Miles will draw them into a conflict against the Hunter. From the gameplay demonstration shown during the PlayStation Showcase in 2023 in May, Peter and Miles' need to prevent Kraven from hunting the Lizard, as Dr. Connors is apparently needed to cure Harry Osborn. This implies that the heroes may need to form a temporary truce and work with the villains to some degree in order to stop a bigger threat. Meaning that at some point in the game, and if this is correct, like, I think I did a video about this probably a couple months ago or something like that, where I honestly do think that Peter and Miles are going to have to go ahead and get some of these villains, and say if they are going to be wondering where these hunters are coming from, and say if Peter and Miles brings up for the fact that Kraven the Hunter is in town hunting down every single one of them, that would honestly give them a chance to say, hey, we need you guys to help us out. We need you guys to help us with this, and y'all can deal with fighting us later. I feel like that's what's going to happen. But following that, it ends up saying, among the villains shown on Kraven's map of New York, the Sinister Six are briefly shown, flashing through all of their pictures, minus Martin Lee's Mr. Negative. This is likely because they are all in the same location within the Raft prison after the end of the first game. It's also interesting to note that characters who only appear in person in the City Never Sleeps DLC, like Black Cat, are present in the base game story from Marvel Spider-Man 2. Yuri Watanabe, who also plays a major role in the DLC, seems to have become the anti-heroine Wraith in the time between the DLC and Marvel Spider-Man 2, as she appears on his list of targets as well. Now, that's going to be very interesting to see. I can't wait to see how that's going to play out with the whole entire Wraith scenario. But following that, it says one surprising character on this list of targets is Taskmaster, who appeared in Marvel Spider-Man to issue challenges for Peter to complete. What makes his targeting by Kraven surprising is the role Taskmaster plays in the Hunted comic storyline, where he is hired by Kraven to kidnap various supervillains along with Spider-Man in order to trap them in Central Park for his own hunting purposes. Perhaps Taskmaster will eventually come to work with Kraven in the sequel once Venom is added into the mix as a reference to his comic storyline. Now, a lot of people haven't talked about Taskmaster. A lot of people have not clearly mentioned him at all. This is a very, very, very interesting idea, especially from this. So there is a chance with Taskmaster coming back, he is going to be hired by Kraven, I'm assuming. So this is probably going to end up being an amazing role for the fact that we know Taskmaster was probably gathering a lot of data on how Spider-Man fights in the first game. So who's to say that he didn't relay that information to Kraven? But following that, it says, even with the addition of Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2, it seems likely there are even more targets for Kraven to hunt, including villains that were not present in previous games. The confirmation of these villains, along with Peter and Miles, shows just how ambitious Kraven is and how Insomniac plans to show that he is the world's greatest hunter. Now, I do agree with this for the fact that, seeing as that this whole entire thing caught me completely off guard for the fact that we do not know for the fact that if Insomniac was to play around with Taskmaster in that way. So that whole entire Taskmaster side quest may have been a certain mission for Taskmaster to end up getting information on Peter. And after that, Kraven watched the events of Miles Morales. So that's very interesting to see, especially with Venom being added to the mix as well. But without a doubt, let me know what you guys think. And on top of that, to mention, that leak about the whole entire graphic modes for Marvel Spider-Man 2, that whole entire leak from the PlayStation snitch, or just the snitch in general, that is a fake. So, anyways, I'll see you guys later with another spectacular, Spidey, webtastic banger.